Yo, what's happening, guys? It's Charles, and welcome back to the channel. Man, y'all thought I was done with them travel stories. Well, nope. I got another one for y'all today, except this is a little different. It's not as much of a travel as my Florida stories, but I don't know, because New York City, which is where I was in this video, it's close to New Jersey, obviously, but I don't know. Yeah, whatever you want to call it. I still think it's traveling, but yeah, figured I'd share a pretty cool experience I had of being in New York City all by myself. So the origin of how I got in this situation in the first place was basically they had a bus trip availability in my community, and I was able to sign up for it for pretty cheap. And I was like, oh yeah, New York bus trip. Of course, why not go? New York's a great place. Love going to New York. And I'm not thinking too much about it. I'm just like, yeah, I'll sign up. I don't know what they're gonna do, but it'll be cool. And the next thing I know, they're like, okay, so the bus is going to drop you off in Times Square at like 10 or 11 in the morning, something like that. And they're going to pick you up again at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, something like that. And that was it. That was the whole spiel. And I was just like, oh, so I'm just going to be left in New York for about 7 hours. Okay. Now, I had not planned to go on this trip with anybody. So just gonna be stuck in New York alone for a whole day. So I was like, oh, I mean, I was a little hype about it, but a little nervous about it at the same time. I was just like, wow, okay, what's this gonna entail? Now the day comes. This happened in February of this year, actually, so not too long ago. And I get to the bus, and unfortunately, it wasn't like what we're seeing right now today with 75 degrees. Absolutely beautiful day here in New Jersey. Probably one of, if not the most beautiful day of the year so far. But yeah, so it was, your typical cold 40-degree day, so I had to dress up pretty warm. And yeah, basically, it dropped me off in Times Square. I'm kind of like, all right, all right. We're gonna get lit in New York. Let's see what goes on today. And then they drop me off. And then as I'm walking through Times Square, it immediately hits me like, damn, I'm really stuck here on my own for 7 hours. What am I gonna do? And I don't know, I just kind of start wandering aimlessly Times Square, going into a couple of the stores, just like duh, duh, duh. It was pretty chilly at the time, so I was like, oh my god, dude, like, what is this? This is gonna be a long day. And then I kind of get the idea. I'm like, all right, you know what? I gotta go places. This is New York. There's so many places to go. So I'm like, I'm gonna go not Times Square. I was already in Times Square. Central Park. Central Park. Yeah, that's where I decided I was gonna go. And I start walking up there, and I'm kind of this is when I start to break out of this like weird nervous, like, oh crap, what am I gonna do? Uh, and I get up there, and by the time I get there, I'm like, oh yeah, Central Park. I haven't been here in a while, because I hadn't been there in years and years. I just started going back to New York recently, like within the past couple of months, because I hadn't been before COVID pandemic, so I was just like, yeah, Central Park, I'm back. And, I was like climbing on the rocks, and I actually have a nice video clip of myself just living my best life. So, yeah, as you can see, I was bringing out my inner childhood, climbing on the rocks, living my best life. And I was like wandering around Central Park, and I was like, all right, yo, now this is cool. I'm liking this. This is hype. This is gonna be a fun day. And I eventually leave Central Park, and start walking. I run into the MLB and NBA stores. And you all should know that I'm a sports guy. So I was like, let's go. Gotta check out these stores. And I was just like all hype. I was like, yo, they got every team, dude. They got all this like hype stuff. They got every player, like historical players and all that stuff. I was like, yeah, this is dope. This is dope. I love this. And on the topic of sports, my favorite restaurant in New York happens to be a bar restaurant that supports my Miami Dolphins. And during the football season, they have weekly watch parties for every Dolphins game. And I went to one in December of 23, and it was absolutely amazing. I might talk about it more in a future video, but I was like, yo, I gotta go back. I gotta go back here. And I go and it's dead, and it's about lunchtime. I'm like, yeah, this place is dead. And it's just like, but the bartender was a extremely nice lady. And she starts talking to me, and then I tell her like that I love this bar because I'm a Dolphins fan. And she's like, "Oh, yay! I am too." And then we talk about the Dolphins, and we just start talking about life. I'm just like, yo, this is really dope. This is really cool. Now I'm starting to talk to people, the locals in New York. I'm just on my own adventure, meeting people. I felt like I was living a real life vlog. Like, I kind of wish I vlogged this day now, honestly, instead of just telling it as a story time. But yeah, I just felt like I was living a real life vlog. And yeah, I had a really nice lunch experience. And then after that, I decide I run into this huge Starbucks. They call it a Starbucks Reserve. I don't know if you are aware of this as a viewer. They're in a couple cities, including New York. I forget, like, so like Chicago, Seattle, there's a couple other places. But basically, it's like a massive Starbucks that like also has like a bar, and they sell alcoholic beverages, and they're not like well known ones. They're like actually like kind of a little more like fancy. And I had to try one. And I always talk about how I'm not big drinker, blah 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 blah. But listen, I'm of age, like I talked about during my Miami trip. I like to go to occasionally a bar or a club and have a drink socially. I am 22, I can do it legally. And especially considering I was taking a bus out of New York, I was like, why not have a couple drinks while I'm here in the city? And I had this really nice cider. I might show it on the screen. Actually, I was just like mesmerized by this place. I was just like, yo, this is like, it's like literally like a Starbucks bar, and they have like dope drinks, and like there were a lot of sophisticated people up in there, and I was just like, hey man, look at me getting in on that fancy stuff. And then after that, I believe I walked into the Empire State Building. I wanted to figure out how to climb it, but I couldn't. I didn't see where it was. Where it was, I don't know. But I had never been inside, so it was something new for me. Forgot to mention earlier, I went to Rockefeller. I don't know. That's something new. I've been there a million times. Uh, and you know, somehow since I'm not a big drinker, I guess I have a semi low tolerance, and I felt a little bit tipsy. Uh, Not like problematic, but I don't know. Because I did have a few drinks, including at dinner, or not dinner, lunch. Um, they actually gave me a free shot of green tea, something, Irish whiskey. I forget what it's called, but it's pretty good. Um, and I felt a little bit of the alcoholic effects, and I was a little tipsy walking around New York. and I was kind of going shopping around like the Macy's mall areas, a couple stores like H&M, and I don't know. I noticed myself. I kind of made a few silly errors. Like I almost went down like I almost tried to go up a down escalator or something. And I was like, oh, I don't know what that was. And I was like, oh shit, and then and stuff like that. And I was just like, whoa. I bumped into a lady at one point. So it appears I had a small interruption, but it's okay. So as I was saying, basically, I run into a lady on accident, and she's like, "Whoa, I'm sorry." And I don't know. It's like a little funny detail, but yeah, I don't know. And like we're getting towards the end of the day at this point, so like I gotta start thinking about getting back to Times Square for the bus. And my light-headed, or I guess like just I don't know, happy mood, whatever you want to call it, quickly turns into a little bit of stress as like I'm starting to like run behind the schedule, and I'm like, oh shit, gotta go back. Uh-oh. I gotta start trying to book it to Times Square, and then I have to go to the bathroom. I have to pee, piss, and I'm just like I just like dip into a McDonald's, and it's super busy in there, and then I try to go to the bathroom, and you're not allowed to if you don't order food. But it's like I don't care. How are they gonna know? And the men's room was had a super long line, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And basically it's like basically I was just like kind of waiting there, just like, and then this dude who's next to me, he's a legend. He's just like, man, this is weird. Usually it's the ladies room. Sorry about that. Camera almost tipped over. He's like, usually it's the ladies room that's gotta wait. And then he says something that I don't really understand, and he's like, it's like a dumb YouTube video. It's like that made me laugh. I'm just like, what do you mean a dumb YouTube video? I mean, I guess he's right, because here I am making a YouTube video about it, but except this ain't a dumb video. This is a very good video, in my opinion. But I digress, and I finally go, and I'm just continuing to run into like lights and people. I'm just like, there was even a protest that slowed me down a little bit. But fortunately I get back to the meeting spot in Times Square, and it takes me a minute to find the people. I'm texting the person who ran the show, like, where are you? Oh my god. And fortunately the bus was super late. And then at this point, I'm like realizing that like people I knew were on this trip, and I'm just like, oh, I didn't even see you on like the bus in the morning. Wow, this is crazy. And I don't know. And then finally it shows up. We dip, go home, and yeah, that's that. Pretty wild experience. My first time ever being in New York alone. Yeah, guys, that'll do it. I hope you enjoyed. It was a pretty fun day for me. Like I said, I kind of wish I vlogged it a little bit, but hey, man, typical story time is how I do it. But yeah, guys, anyway, like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff, and have a great day.